Hello everybody, and it is your friend, your favorite heretic, back on YouTube again. Apologies for the long delay. I've had a couple issues involving my moving, receiving my stuff, painting up a new model. Speaking of the new model, we're going to go ahead and talk about this particular model. Now, for those of you that know, I normally handle Warhammer 40k, but for this particular model, I decided to branch out and check out its other games. For Age of Sigmar, this particular model is known as the Herdstone for the Beastmen faction, and is in particular, these gentlemen, for those of you that know the Beastmen, they do enjoy their good raiding and pillaging, but like for it, in their lore for it, they would erect herdstones like this, basically giant rocks blessed by chaos energy, riddled with the various corpses, fallen trophies of those that they've managed to slay, whether they be generals or just mere the common soldier, and they would decorate them in a variety of different ways. Now, for it in particular, for the Beastmen army I want to create for Age of Sigmar, I'm going to be running it more a winter-esque themed, where, as they are known as creatures of ruin, it'll also be the coming. I think I was going to call them a Bite of Winter, maybe something. I haven't figured it out yet. We'll figure it out later. But at least for it, let me go ahead and at least tell you what the Herdstone does. Well, before I start the game, I can erect one structure based on my army. This particular structure, the Herdstone, which is the primary weapon for the Beastmen, is completely cost-free, as in I do not have to pay any extra points in order to utilize this particular structure. However, the rules state I have to place it wholly within my starting zone. Now, funnily enough, for the Beastmen, this particular Herdstone has two special rules. It has scenery rule, Anthropic Lodestone, which is I can subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target units within 6 inches of this terrain feature. At the start of each battle round after the first, add 6 inches to the range of this ability. Beasts of Chaos units are not affected by this ability. So, basically, if any of my enemies, any non-Beast of Chaos creatures are nearby this stone within 6 inches, they get -1 to their armor save, or invuln save. And then for the rule number 2 is Locus of Savagery. Beasts of Chaos wholly within 6 inches of this terrain feature do not take battle shock tests. At the start of each battle round after the first, add 6 inches to this ability. So, which is also useful. So the other rule as well is that any Beasts of Chaos, whether it be allied or enemy or my own, I would be able to ignore battle shock tests, which is very useful against fear or making my minions run away. So, these two rules have an additional 6 inches added to it. So every turn, battle round, which is both mine and my opponent's, this gets an additional 6-inch movement, which means this means round 1, 6 inches around it. Round 2 is 12. Round 3, 18, 24, so on and so on until the game's over. Basically, by the end of the game, about 42 inches would be this max range to the entire board. So every turn, this is getting bigger and stronger. So this is useful against up-close armies. So as long as I put this in by round 3, 4, I can ignore armor -1, and then my men don't do battle shock tests. So, like I said, hilariously enough, is the bread and butter of the Beastmen, and it would be the most useful effect for it just because of how to utilize this. Now, plans for the future. Currently, I'm going to be working on the Beastmen army, but I am also going to start painting more of my models on more of a regular schedule. As below, I do have links to my Twitch in order to, if you want to check it out. Also, another note, I am going to try to turn back on commissions, so if you do want to do commissions, feel free to add a comment or message me, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube, and we'll be able to negotiate like what you want painted, how you want to do it. I've been trying to figure out a good pricing way in order to not only get you your model within a quick enough time, but also to make it proper, not only for me, but for you as well. Because the main, like I said, it is, if you really do like what I paint, feel free to send me a message, and we'll look over what you want painted. Otherwise, I would recommend, there are a variety of other commissioners who will focus completely on it and do amazing work. Like I said, other than that, I'm going to be heading on a regular schedule again. I'm going to try to do at least try to stream a couple hours every week, sometimes on weekends, sometimes during the week. We'll see how life turns out. And then hopefully, and I'll try to, after each model, I'm going to go ahead and make a video for it if it's a model I haven't done one prior. So, for example, my next video is I believe this was called an Ascended Sorcerer. I actually got this from a warp crate recently, and if you guys want, I'll also do box openings for my warp crates that come in. Basically, just random videos in between each paint model, and that way I can at least try to balance things out. One final note, I did receive a couple comments before asking what kind of paints do I use. So for this particular one, I'm going to go ahead and go over what paints I use in what forms. So we'll start with the base coats. We use Dryad bark for all wood type assets, such as down here and the horns. My Army Painter leather brown, which is for all the binding straps, both up top and then straps the things are adorned with. Skeleton bone for all the skeletons. Army Painter plate metal mail, for any of the metallics, such as the rims and weapons. Greedy gold for any of the gold materials. GW Citadel paint Everland Sunset for the fire throughout the markings as well as the fire inside. Sadly, you cannot see it because my light station is not that effective. I'm still trying to work on it a bit more. Uniform gray for the base of the rocks and stone. Now for the washes, I had two different setups. I have the standard Army Painter Quick Shade, basically a dark tone, which is basically equivalent to a nun oil for GW. And then finally for the Citadel, I used a shade of orange for all the fire. For final layers, I used Uriel Yellow to highlight the fire, Screaming Bell to highlight the bones, and then dry paint Dawnstone to highlight the rocks. For my final terrain, I focused more on the winter-esque style, so I actually got to work into some texture paints, such as Valayan Blizzard to mix about the amount of snow throughout all the cracks, whether it be on top, all around, or just in pockets where it looks like snow would accumulate. And finally, I did a nice dry brush of matte white on all the upper places, such as tips of the rocks, that would be hit by more of the winds, tops of the wood, and any other final details that stick out in a windstorm, such as on back corners or high ridges. Alright, that will be it for the Herdstone. Like I said, currently, if you want to see what my next model is going to be, feel free to check out my Twitch, as well as for any other additional plans. I do have a plan to open up a box of orcs, of that orc force attachment that came out about a good few months back at the time of this video. So that will definitely be something for you guys to check out when I finally get around to it, but I also do have a variety of other models in the way, so we'll play it all by ear. I do thank y'all very much for joining me, and I hope to see y'all again another day.